Okay. Clerk Kramer, call to order the Board of Public Works meeting. Could you take roll call, please?
Alderman Tom Grady,
Here.
Alderman Ted Grady,
Here.
Alderman Rapella,
Here.
Alderman Nichols,
Here.
Alderman Taylor,
Here.
Alderman Sevenik,
Here.
Alderman Langdon,
Here.
Alderman Schmidt,
Here.
all are present.
Thank you, Clerk Kramer. Item C, minutes to approve. Do I have a motion to approve the October 19th, 2020 minutes? Alderman Taylor,
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve October 19th, 2020 minutes.
thank you. I got a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Tom Grady. All is in favor by signify by saying aye for the minutes to approve. Aye.
Aye.
Nay. Minutes are approved. Thank you. Tonight we have one discussion / action item, and this is about the yard waste drop site. So Alderman Adam, are you here?
You bet I am. Thank you, Chair.
All righty, Adam, take her away.
So, yeah, what we're looking at is before we get our calendars printed up, we had some discussion in regards to with the operations folks out there as to whether or not we would want to perhaps consider continuing with our arrangement with Buckland's Tree Service to have them manage our drop site for yard waste and brush. We have not really heard of anything other than early on some of the education, the signage, making sure that we got our residents and their staff out there sort of acclimated. I think everything has gone well. We'd like to have you folks weigh in on this. Obviously, there are some financial savings by doing so, and again, the hours are slightly different, but in essence, it's the same amount of days. But we would like to get your guys' approval as staff does recommend keeping the brushing yard waste drop site at Buckland's for 2021.
Thank you, Director Adam. Do we have discussion? Alderman Sevenik.
Thank you, Chair. Adam, I remembered what I wanted to ask you, and it pertained to this. And what it was is the issue with compost. What are we gonna, if we do agree to do this, are we still going to be able to have compost to offer our residents?
Yes, we will. We are composting out there on our property, on our drop site. And what we intend to do is, if you recall last year with the construction going on, we had the compost available for the public at the Coslow Park, but we intend to have that back along with our wood chips at the city garage. We talked a little bit about perhaps having it available there. We will continue to have that discussion, but we need to vet that out a little bit more because I don't think they offer compost, just wood chips and whatnot, colored wood chips, and I'm not sure that we want to perhaps mix the two, but we will have compost available for the public.
How are you going to be able to do that if we don't have the materials to make it, unless we've got quite a bit on site already?
So what happens is Buckland takes care of the brush. They do the grinding. The yard waste does end up in our pile along with our leaves. And we, instead of egg bag composting, we have been open windrow composting out at our site there. It saves us a lot of money, saves us on manpower to bag it and whatnot. So we do turn the compost out there. We do have our screener out there because we do screen compost for the final product that we provide to the residents. and we do screen a fair amount of gravel and millings from our crushing and our street construction activities. So everything's out there. It's just a matter of making it available to the public.
I have one more question, Chair. As far as having a person checking people coming in, I noticed that when like there was a guy that got hurt, so he was on light duty and he was checking people coming in. We're not going to eliminate that position, are we? Because I still think it's important to even if it's out at Buckland's. I know they check, but I mean, I just found it really nice that there was someone there, you know, checking to make sure they were residents of the city.
The savings that you see here would be the elimination of the part-time position that would normally stand at the gate. Now,
I didn't realize that was the savings.
It's part of the savings. There's other savings because we don't have to handle the material as often as we do when it's in our yard. But you know, that's part of the fee that we are charging, or that we are being charged by Buckland's, is to verify residency. And if there was one complaint that I did hear is, and it was something that we intend to look at, is to sort of streamline the process, because it sounded to me as that most people do go inside, and sometimes there is a bit of a line when they have other folks, you know, other paying customers on the scale. So that's part of the fee, is that for them to verify that they are just city residents utilizing this drop site.
Yeah, I don't, anytime I went in, they didn't really verify who the heck I was. I just kind of walked in and said my name and address and proceeded to like show them my ID. They never actually looked at it. So I like the idea of having somebody, but all right, I'll listen to what other members have to say.
Alderman Randy.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah,
Adam, just so I'm understanding this correctly, in 2019 at the city garage, the cost was $27,000, and 2020, when we had it at Buckland's, it was only $10,000 for this service. Is that true, Adam?
Correct. So what that has in there, Deputy Director Brown, and those costs of $27,000, is that with it being at that location, we spend a fair amount of time separating and pushing up the brush and the grass, and then we do end up hauling the grass out there. We do end up, when the grinder comes in, we do supply a loader and the manpower and the fuel to actually load the grinder, and that's usually almost a week of time that's spent there. Those costs are eliminated by having it out at the Buckland site. They handle the brush. They do everything. We do not. So.
Well, it sounds like a really great deal for the city, from 27 down to 10. And I know that Alderman Sevenick was mentioning the guy in the red truck that usually sits by the city garage,
Yep.
Mr. Skowronski. And so his job would be eliminated when we make the switch over from the city garage to Buckland's.
Correct. That happened this past year. We did not enlist the services of Mr. Skowronski in the upcoming budget, because right now we budgeted for the drop site at the city garage yet, because that would be, in our estimation, would be the most costly means of doing this. But his wage and payroll taxes, you're looking at about $6,000 there. So that's what we would be saving, and we did save that this past year.
Okay, one last question, Adam. I know when we were designing the city garage, we had a drive-through thing so you could see the cars come through and go to drop off their waste. in their grass clippings and all of those type of things. And now that we're doing it at Buckland's, or we'll be doing it at Buckland's if we approve it, does that change any of your traffic patterns and your plans that we had for the new city garage?
No, it would not, other than we'll, obviously, we're going to still continue with the recycling drop site. So part of that area that was set aside for our drop site was not all just yard waste and brush. It also would be the cardboard and the containers. And if you looked at our plans, there is a gate back there that we intend have planned. If we do have, well, obviously we're going to have the drop site for the recyclables, but if we had the yard waste and the brush, instead of pushing up the pile, we intended to more than likely on the brush side of things would have to move it out periodically or have the grinder come in more frequently. The last number of years we've been able to store most of the brush on site and get away with just one grinding per year. So this I think would benefit us because trying to put this new building on our existing space available, do it in such a manner that we continue to function out there. The amount of space that we have under this new plan for yard waste for the brush and grass is slightly smaller than we've had in the past. So no, I don't see that being an issue, and we'll certainly utilize that space for the other recyclables.
Thank you. I have one last thing, and I think Alderman Sevenick had mentioned it, but I may have it may have just disappeared when I was thinking about it. Was the composting bags that you guys have by the city garage? How is that going to continue at Buckland's, or where is it going to continue?
So the last couple of years now, we have abandoned the egg bag operation. It's those bags are very expensive. The maintenance of the actual bagging machine it's an annual thing. We're replacing teeth. So about 3-4 years ago, we actually went back to just open composting it once we cleaned up our site out at Buckland's. And now we're it takes a little bit longer for us to end up with the final product, but it certainly is less expensive for us to do so.
Thank you, Adam, for all your in-depth answers. Thank you.
Alderman Ann Schmidt.
Yes, I just wanted to bring up, Adam, if we're going to keep this over at Buckland's, what I saw was probably the biggest problem was that, like I said, just the signage in the beginning, but everything being off for the city on the far left side, with the exception of brush. That had to go further back in so that, of course, Buckland's could tub grind it. Are we going to still be able to keep everything on that one side? And if you're going to do the dirt and, the bark chips and things like that, are those all going to be in, some kind of like bins like Buckland's does have for their bark chips and things that, they've got the concrete bin, like things that where you can pull in and, take it out, just to keep it somewhat contained. That's probably the biggest thing I can see is just some confusion unless we get some real good parameters as to where we're going to be putting everything on that far left side so that it doesn't get more and more confusing to people. Because
Okay.
even when people were dumping grass and things like that, nobody ever backed in all the way to drop their grass. They were dropping it and there was good 25 feet between,
Yeah.
droppings of grass.
Yep.
Okay.
And until you guys got back out there to push everything back or clean everything up, people just move further and further out. So I was just wondering, how are we going to work something with Buckland's to do that? Because Buckland's they don't sell the compost, but I know that they do have it because they do landscaping jobs themselves, as part of their business. And they use the dirt and things like that when they do take trees down and grind out stumps. So I would want to make sure that, like I say, we're nowhere near any of their type of things with that, so that everything stays very separate.
Correct. And I think that our intention at this point in time was to have that out at our new Public Works facility, the end
Okay.
product for the public. Now, this past year, like I said, we did have it in the parking lot at Coslow Park. It wasn't available at Buckland's. So what we're looking to do is continue with what we did in 2019, except for that we will have a space for our grindings, wood chips, which are not quite as nice as the store-bought ones there at Buckland's, and then obviously the compost available. So our intentions were to have that out at the new Public Works facility, again, to make sure that it is completely separate from them. So.
Yeah. That's kind of what I thought you might, have said, but then I wasn't sure if we were going to keep everything there. And I was just wanted to make sure if we were going to keep it there, that we were going to really have some good parameters for things. So.
Correct.
Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Anybody else?
Mark?
Okay.
Mark?
So, yeah, James.
Mark? Okay, thanks.
You're gonna
Mark.
make the motion, James?
I think, I had some discussion. I think Buckland's did a fantastic job for us. And as other aldermen said, there was a little educational a curve that we all had to learn. But I found that I parked there a few times, and they do check people going in and out. And the only thing I see, Adam, is that a lot of times at the end of the day, right before they close, I parked out there, and I've talked to these young guys that come in with these 20-foot trailers, and they're contractors. And I don't know how that applies to the city, but I know they're not cutting, Mrs. Smith over on 4th Street's lot or Mrs. Jones over on. They got a lot of product in there, and I don't know if it's all from the city of Menasha or not, but I think there should be a different way to handle contractors.
Just so you're aware, if you were out at the garage previously, you would see similar type of activities. Did we check everyone? No, we would check many of them, and they'd all say it came from so-and-so. So whether they're absolutely being completely honest with us, short of taking a lot of time to truly investigate them, we allowed it to happen, I guess. Just so you're aware, the mayor and I and Deputy Director Brown and Deputy Director Gordon have talked recently. I wanted to get the location and the time in the calendar, and we've begun to do a little bit of research in regards to what other communities are doing as well. And that is one of the things that we do want to take a closer look at, Alderman Taylor.
Okay, I appreciate that, because there's definitely a lot of product coming in at the end of the day, and it's just not from one property. It's from I'd say to the guy, boy, how many 10, 12, whatever. So they got a lot of product in there. All right, thanks for that.
Yeah,
and I think
there's probably, I'm sorry, Alderman Taylor, there's probably just one Menasha resident. The other part of this is the other reason that Deputy Director Gordon has been involved in some of these discussions is, I think from a stormwater perspective, I think that I think we want to encourage or discourage bagging of the grass and just cut it and leave it in place. So again, that's something I think that we're going to explore here in the next month and a half.
Okay, thank you. And Buckland's has done a great job, and I think it's kind of nice to have it out there rather than at our facility just a few blocks away, because it does create a lot of mess and everything too. And with the new facility and everything, I think Buckland's is the way to go. Thank you.
Alderman Randy Rapella.
Thank you, Mark. One question, Adam. The $10,000, does that, whether we drop off 10 bags of grass or everybody in the city uses it, there's no surcharge for anything above the normal?
How would you do that?
Correct. So
Right.
what is normal? It varies from year to year. We went back when we initially sat down and discussed the dollar amount with them here this past spring, and we went through the last like 3 years what we paid them or a company of theirs or sister company or an association with them, in that $9,000 to $10,000 range, and they offered to do it for the $10,000, but they don't have the mobilization, so they gain a little bit there, and they already have somebody sitting there, so they seem to think that, and it sounds like they're willing to do this again for that same fee. So
Fantastic, Adam. I like the 10,000 and I like it at Buckland's. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to keep the brush and yard waste dropout site at Buckland's for 2021.
Second it.
Second by, there's a motion by Alderman James Taylor, second by Alderman Tom Grady. Any further discussion? Alderman Nichols.
Thank you, Alderman Langdon.
Yeah.
Director Alex, when this first started, it was presented as a temporary thing. And so I'm curious where we're headed for the long term with this.
I think that's what we're looking at, is so long as the fee stays the same, and there's still advantages for the city to have it out there. I think that's that you'll see us probably bring this forward again, unless something were to change as far as the level of service or that we receive from the folks there. But that's why we're bringing it forward, is that we did originally say that it was temporary, but we have had comments that from the general public and staff that maybe we ought to consider just leaving it there, because it does save us time and money. And some of the folks, general public that took the time to share their thoughts with us, seem to think that they liked it there. So that's why we brought it forward.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. Clerk Haley Kramer. Seeing we have money here, could we have a roll call, please?
Alderman Tom Grady,
Aye.
Alderman Ted Grady,
Aye.
Alderman Repello,
Aye.
Alderman Nichols,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor,
Aye.
Alderman Sevenick,
Aye.
Alderman Langdon,
All right,
Alderman Schmidt.
Aye.
Motion carries 8-0.
thank you. So that'll be going forward to council. With that, I have a motion to adjourn. Alderman Taylor.
Mr. Mayor, I promoted you. I'm sorry. Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that Haley gets some sleep and that we adjourn.
Oh, I like it. Do I have a second?
We got one more meeting.
Second.
Second, who was that? Second by Tom Grady? So I have a motion to adjourn by Alderman James Taylor and a second by Alderman Tom Grady. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Nay? We are adjourned. Thank you.